All right, Luke chapter 6. And it came to be on a Sabbath that he went through grain fields, and his taught ones were plucking the heads of grain and were eating, rubbing them with the hands. And some of the Pharisees said to them, "Why are you doing what is not right to do on the Sabbath?" And Yeshua answering them said, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How they went into the house of Elohim, took and ate the showbread, and also gave some to those with him, which is not right for any but the priests to eat?" And he said to them, "The son of Adam is master of the Sabbath." And it also came to be on another Sabbath that he entered into the congregation and taught. And there was a man whose right hand was withered. And the scribes and Pharisees were watching him closely, whether he would heal on the Sabbath, for them to find an accusation against him. And he knew their thoughts, and said to the man who had the withered hand, "Arise and stand in the midst." And he rose up and stood, and Yeshua said to them, "I ask you, is it right to do good on the Sabbath, or to do evil, to save life, or to destroy it?" And looking around at them all, he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he did so, and his hand was restored, sound as the other. But they were filled with folly, and were speaking with one another what they should do to Yeshua. And in those days it came to be that he went out to the mountains to pray, and was spending the night in prayer to Elohim. And when it became day, he called near his taught ones, and chose from them 12, whom he also named emissaries: Shimon, whom he also named Kepha, and his brother Andrew, Jacob, Johanan, Philip, Bartholomew, Mattithayahu, and Toma, Jacob the son of Alphaeus, and Shimon, the one called the Ardent One, Yehuda the son of Jacob, and Yehuda from Kerioth, who also became the betrayer. And coming down with them, he stood on a level place with a crowd of his taught ones, and a great number of people from all Yehuda and Jerusalem, and from the coast country of Sor and Sidon, who came to hear him, and to be healed of their diseases, and those who were troubled with unclean spirits, and they were healed. And all the crowd were seeking to touch him, for power went out from him, and healing them all. And he lifted up his eyes toward his taught ones, said, "Blessed are the poor, because yours is the reign of Elohim. Blessed are you who hunger now, because you shall be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, because you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men shall hate you, and when they shall cut you off, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as wicked, for the sake of the Son of Adam. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy, for look, your reward is great in the heaven. For that is how their fathers treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, because you are receiving your comfort. Woe to you who have been filled, because you shall hunger. Woe to you who are laughing now, because you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for thus their fathers did to the false prophets. But I say to you who are hearing, love your enemies, do good to those hating you, bless those cursing you, and pray for those insulting you. And to him who hits you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your outer garment, do not withhold the inner garment either. And give to everyone who asks of you, and from him who takes away what is yours, do not ask it back. And as you wish men should do to you, you also do to them in the same way. And if you love those loving you, what favor have you? For sinners too love those loving them. And if you do good to those doing good to you, what favor have you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive back, what favor have you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. Rather love your enemies and do good, and lend expecting none in return. And your reward shall be great, and you shall be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the thankless and wicked ones. Therefore be compassionate as your Father also is compassionate. Do not judge, and you shall not be judged at all. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned at all. Forgive, and you shall be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given to you. A good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall be put into your lap. For with the same measure with which you measure, it shall be measured back to you. And he spoke a parable to them. Is a blind able to lead a blind? Shall they not both fall into a pit? A taught one is not above his teacher, but everyone perfected shall be like his teacher. And why do you see the splinter in your brother's eye, but are not aware of the plank in your own eye? Or how are you able to say to your brother, Brother, let me take out the splinter that is in your eye, not seeing the plank in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to take out the splinter that is in your brother's eye. For a good tree does not yield rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree yield good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For they do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. The good man brings forth what is good out of the good treasure of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart his mouth speaks. But why do you call me Master, Master, and do not do what I say? Everyone who is coming to me and is hearing my words and is doing them, I shall show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house, who dug deep and laid a foundation on the rock. And when a flood came, the stream burst against that house, but was unable to shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But the one hearing and not doing is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream burst, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Chapter 7. And when he completed all his words in the hearing of the people, he went into Capernaum, and a certain captain's servant who was valuable to him was sick and about to die. And hearing about Yeshua, he sent elders of the Yehudim to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. And when they came to Yeshua, they begged him earnestly, saying, He is worthy for you to grant this to him. For he loves our nation and has built the congregation for us. For Yeshua went with them. However, he was not far from the house when the captain sent friends to him, saying to him, Master, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy that you should come under my roof. For this reason I did not even think myself worthy to come to you, but say a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I too am a man appointed under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my servant, Do this, and he does it. And when Yeshua heard this, he marveled at him, and turned around and said to the crowd that followed him, I say to you, not even in Israel have I found one with such great belief. Not even in Israel have I found such great belief. And those who were sent, returning to the house, found the servant who had been sick in good health. And it came to be the next day that he went into the city called Naim, and many of his taught ones went with him, and a large crowd. And see, as he came near the gate of the city, a dead man was being carried out. He was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and a large crowd from the city was with her. And when the master saw her, he had compassion on her, and said to her, Do not weep. And coming near, he touched the bier, and those bearing it stood still. And he said, Young man, I say to you, arise. And he who was dead sat up and began to speak, and he gave him to his mother. And fear seized all, and they praised Elohim, saying, A great prophet has been raised up among us, and Elohim has visited his people. And this news about him went out in all Yehuda and all the neighborhood. And the taught ones of Yohanan reported to him about all this. And Yohanan, calling two of his taught ones near, sent to Yeshua, saying, Are you the coming one, or should we look for another? And coming to him, the men said, Yohanan the Immerser has sent us to you, saying, Are you the coming one, Or should we look for another? And in the same hour he healed many of diseases and afflictions and wicked spirits, and he gave sight to many blind ones. And Yeshua answering said to them, Go report to Yohanan what you have seen and heard. Blind receive sight, lame do walk, lepers are cleansed, deaf do hear, dead are raised. The good news is brought to the poor. And blessed is he who shall not stumble in me. And when the messengers of Yohanan had left, he began to speak to the crowds concerning Yohanan. What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man dressed in soft garments? Look, those who are splendidly dressed and living in luxury are in the houses of sovereigns. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, and more than a prophet. This is he concerning whom it has been written, See, I send my messenger before your face, who shall prepare your way before you. For I say to you, among those born of woman, there is not a greater prophet than Yohanan the Immerser. But he who is least in the reign of Elohim is greater than he. And all the people, even the tax collectors, when they heard, declared Elohim righteous, having been immersed with the immersion of Yohanan. But the Pharisees and those learned in the Torah rejected the counsel of Elohim for themselves, not having been immersed by him. And the master said, To what then shall I compare the men of this generation, and what are they like? They are like children sitting in the marketplace and calling to each other, saying, We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We lamented for you, and you did not weep. For Yohanan the Immerser came, neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say, He has a demon. The son of Adam has come eating and drinking, and you say, Look, a man, a glutton, and a wine drinker, a friend of tax collectors and sinners, and wisdom is declared right by all her children. And one of the Pharisees asked him to eat with him, and he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to eat. And see, a woman in the city who was a sinner, when she knew that Yeshua sat at the table in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster flask of perfume. And standing behind at his feet, weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears, and wiping them with the hair of her head, and was kissing his feet and anointing them with the perfume. And when the Pharisees who had invited him saw this, he spoke to himself, saying, This one, if he were a prophet, would know who and what kind of a woman this is who is touching him, for she is a sinner. And Yeshua answering said to him, Shimon, I have somewhat to say to you. And he said, Teacher, say it. A certain creditor had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 denarii, and the other 50. And when they were unable to repay, he forgave them both. Which of them then shall love him more? And Shimon answered, said, I suppose the one whom he forgave more. And he said to him, You have rightly judged. And turning to the woman, he said to Shimon, Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You gave me no water for my feet, but she has wetted my feet with her tears and wiped them with the hair of her head. You gave me no kiss, but she has not ceased to kiss my feet since the time I came in. You did not anoint my head with oil, but she anointed my feet with perfume. Therefore I say to you, her many sins have been forgiven, because she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, he loves little. And he said to her, Your sins have been forgiven. And those who were sitting at the table with him began to say among themselves, Who is this who even forgives sins? And he said to the woman, Your belief has saved you. Go in peace. Chapter 8. And it came to be afterward that he went through every city and village, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the reign of Elohim. And the 12 were with him. And certain women who were healed of wicked spirits and sickness, Miriam, called from Magdala, out of whom had come 7 demons, and Johanna, the wife of Cusa, manager of Herodes, and Shoshana, and many others who provided for him from their resources. And when a large crowd had gathered, and those who were coming to him from every city, he spoke by a parable. A sower went out to sow his seed. And as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the birds of the heavens devoured it. And other fell on rock, and when it grew up, it withered because it had no moisture. And other fell among thorns, and thorns grew up with it and choked it. And other fell on the good soil, and grew up and yielded a crop 100-fold. Having said this, he cried, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." And his taught ones were asking him, saying, "What does this parable mean?" And he said, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the reign of Elohim, but to the rest in parables, that seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not understand. And this is the parable: the seed is the word of Elohim, and those by the wayside are the ones who hear. Then the devil comes and takes away the word from their hearts, lest having believed they should be saved. And those on the rock are those who, when they hear, receive the word with joy. And these have no root, who believe for a while, and in time of trial fall away. And that which fell among thorns are those who, when they have heard, go out and are choked with worries and riches and pleasures of life, and bring no fruit to perfection. And that on the good soil are those who, having heard the word with a noble and good heart, retain it and bear fruit with endurance. And no one having it lit a lamp covers it with a vessel, or puts it under a bed, but he puts it on a lampstand, so that those coming in see the light. For whatever is hidden shall be revealed, and whatever is secret shall be known and come to light. Therefore take heed how you hear. For whoever possesses, to him more shall be given, and whoever does not possess, even what he thinks he possesses shall be taken from him. And his mother and brothers came to him and were unable to get to him because of the crowd. And it was reported to him, saying, "Your mother and your brothers are standing outside wishing to see you." And he answering said to them, "My mother and my brothers are those who are hearing the word of Elohim and doing it." And on a certain day it came to be that he entered into a boat with his taught ones, and he said to them, "Let us go over to the other side of the lake." And they set out. And as they were sailing, he fell asleep. And a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling up and were in danger. And they came to him and woke him up, saying, "Master, Master, we are perishing." And he awoke and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased, and there came a calm. And he said to them, "Where is your belief?" And they were afraid and marveled, saying to one another, "Who then is this, that he even commands the winds and water, and they obey him?" And they sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galil. And as he went out onto the land, he was met by a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time. And he wore no garments and was not living in a house, but in the tombs. And when he saw Yeshua, he cried out, fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What have I to do with you, Yeshua, Son of the Most High Elohim? I beg you, do not torture me." For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for it had seized him many times. And he was bound with chains and shackles, being guarded, and breaking the bonds, he was driven by the demon into the lonely places. And Yeshua asked him, saying, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because many demons had entered into him. And they were begging him that he would not command them to go out into the bottomless pit. And a herd of many pigs was feeding there on the mountain, and they begged him to allow them to go into them. And he allowed them. And the demons, having gone out of the man, entered into the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep place into the lake and drowned. And when those feeding them saw what had taken place, they fled and reported it to the city and in the country. So they came out to see what had taken place, and came to Yeshua, and found the man from whom the demons had gone out sitting on the feet of Yeshua, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it reported to them how he who had been possessed by demons was healed. And the crowd of the neighborhood of the Gadarenes, Gadarenes, there we go, asked him to leave them, for they were seized with great fear, and he entered into the boat and returned, and the man from whom the demons had gone out was begging him to be with him. But Yeshua sent him away, saying, "Go back to your house and relate what Elohim has done for you." And he went away proclaiming through all the city that Yeshua did for him. And it came to be, when Yeshua returned, that the crowd gladly received him, for they were all looking for him. And see, there came a man whose name was Yair, and he was a ruler of congregation, and falling down at the feet of Yeshua, he was calling upon him to come to his house, because he had an only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she was dying. And he went. The crowds thronged upon him, and a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years, who, having spent all her livelihood on physicians, was unable to be healed by any, came from behind and touched the tzitzit of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood was stopped. And Yeshua said, "Who touched me?" And when all denied it, Kepha and those with him said, "Master, the crowds throng you and press upon you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" But Yeshua said, "Somebody did touch me, for I knew power went out of me." And the woman, seeing that she was not hidden, came trembling, and falling down before him, she declared to him in the presence of all the people why she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, "Take courage, daughter. Your belief has healed you. Go in peace." While he was still speaking, someone came from the ruler of the congregation's house, saying to him, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher any further." And Yeshua, having heard, answered him, saying, "Do not be afraid, only believe, and she shall be healed." And coming into the house, he allowed no one to go in except Kepha and Jacob and Yohanan, and the girl's father and mother. And they were all weeping and mourning for her. And he said, "Do not weep, she is not dead, but sleeps." And they were laughing at him, knowing that she was dead. But taking her by the hand, he called, saying, "Child, arise." And her spirit returned and rose up immediately. And he directed that she be given food to eat. And her parents were astonished, but he ordered them to say to no one what had taken place. Chapter 9. And having called his 12 taught ones together, he gave them power and authority over all demons, and to heal diseases. And he sent them to proclaim the reign of Elohim and heal the sick. And he said to them, "Take no matter at all for the journey, neither staffs, nor bag, nor bread, nor silver, neither have 2 undergarments. And whatever house you enter, stay there, and go out from there. And as for those who did not receive you, when you go out of that city, shake off the dust from your feet as a witness against them." And going out, they went through the villages, bringing the good news and healing everywhere. And Herodes, the district ruler, heard of all that was done by him, and he was perplexed, because it was said by some that Yohanan had been raised from the dead, and by some that Eliyahu had appeared, and by others that one of the old prophets had risen up. And Herodes said, "Yohanan I have beheaded, but who is this of whom I hear such reports?" And he was seeking to see him. And the emissaries, when they returned, related to him all that they had done. And he took them, and they withdrew by themselves to a city called Beth Sayada. And when the crowds knew it, they followed him. And having received them, he was speaking to them about the reign of Elohim, and healed those who had need of healing. And as the day began to decline, the 12 came and said to him, "Send the crowd away, that going into the surrounding villages and country they might lodge and get food, because here we are in a lonely place." But he said to them, "You give them to eat." And they said, "We have no more than 5 loaves and 2 fishes, unless we go and buy food for all these people. For there are about 5,000 men." And he said to his taught ones, "Make them sit down in groups of 50. And they did so, and made them all sit down. And taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, having looked up to the heaven, he blessed and broke them, and gave them to the taught ones to set before the crowd. So they all ate and were satisfied, and 12 baskets of the broken pieces were picked up by them. And it came to be, as he was alone, praying, the taught ones were with him. And he asked them, saying, "Who do the crowds say that I am?" And they answering said, Yohanan the Immerser, but others Eliyahu. And others say that one of the old prophets has risen up. And he said to them, And you? Who do you say that I am? And Kepha answering said, The Messiah of Elohim. And strictly warning them, he commanded them to say this to no one, saying, The son of Adam has to suffer much, and to be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes, and to be killed, and to be raised the third day. And he said to them all, If anyone wishes to come after me, let them deny himself, and take up his stake daily, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake shall save it. For what is a man profited if he gains all the world, and is himself destroyed or lost? For whoever is ashamed of me, and my words of him, the son of Adam shall be ashamed when he comes in his esteem, and in his Father's, and of the set-apart messengers. But truly I say to you, there are some standing here, who shall not taste death at all, till they see the reign of Elohim. And it came to be about 8 days after these words, taking with him Kepha and Yohanan and Jacob, he went up to the mountain to pray. And it came to be as he prayed, the appearance of his face changed, and his garment dazzled white. And see, 2 men were talking with him, who were Moshe and Eliyahu, who having appeared in esteem, spoke of his death, which he was about to complete at Jerusalem. But Kepha and those with him were heavy with sleep, and having awakened, they saw his esteem and the 2 men standing with him. And it came to be as they were parting from him, Kepha said to Yeshua, Master, it is good for us to be here. And let us make 3 booths, one for you, one for Moshe, and one for Eliyahu, not knowing what he said. And as he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my son, the beloved. Hear him. And when the voice had spoken, Yeshua was found alone, and they were silent, and reported to no one in those days any of what they had seen. And it came to be on the next day, when they came down from the mountain, that a large crowd met him. And see, a man from the crowd cried out, saying, Teacher, I beg you, look at my son, for he is my only child. And see, a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly cries out, and it convulses him with foaming, and scarcely leaves him, bruising him. And I begged your taught ones to cast it out, but they were unable. And Yeshua answering said, O generation unbelieving and perverse, how long shall I be with you and put up with you? Bring your son here. And as he was still coming to the demon, threw him down in convulsions. And Yeshua rebuked the unclean spirit, and healed the child, and gave him back to his father. And they were all amazed at the greatness of Elohim. And while all were marveling at all that Yeshua did, he said to his taught ones, Lay up your ears these words, for the Son of Adam is about to be delivered into the hands of men. But they did not understand this saying, and it was veiled from them so that they did not perceive it. And they were afraid to ask him about this saying, and a reasoning arose among them, who might be the greater of them. And Yeshua, having seen the reasoning of their heart, took a little child and placed him by his side, and said to them, Whoever receives this little child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you all, he shall be great. And Yohanan answering said, Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him, because he does not follow with us. And Yeshua said to him, Do not forbid him, for he who is not against us is for us. And it came to be, when the days of his taking up were being completed, even he set his face to go to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers ahead of him. And they went and entered into a village of the Shomeronim to prepare for him. And they did not receive him, because his face was set for the journey to Jerusalem. And his taught ones, Jacob and Yohanan, seeing it, said, Master, do you wish us to command fire to come down from the heaven and destroy them, as also Eliyahu did? But having turned, he rebuked them and said, "You do not know of what spirit you are. For the Son of Adam did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them." And they went on to another village. And it came to be, as they journeyed on the way, that someone said to him, "Master, I shall follow you wherever you go." And Yeshua said to him, "The foxes have holes and the birds of the heavens nests, but the Son of Adam has nowhere to lay his head." And he said to another, "Follow me." But he said, "Master, let me go first and bury my father." And Yeshua said to him, "Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and announce the reign of Elohim." And another also said, "Master, I shall follow you, but let me first say goodbye to those in my house." But Yeshua said to him, "No one, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the reign of Elohim." Chapter 10. And after this, the master appointed 70 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him into every city and place where he himself was about to go. Then he said to them, "The harvest indeed is great, but the workers are few. Therefore pray the master of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest. Go, see, I send you out as lambs into the midst of wolves. Do not take a purse, nor a bag, nor sandal, and greet no one along the way. And whatever house you enter, first say, 'Peace to this house.' And if indeed a son of peace is there, your peace shall rest on it. And if not, it shall return to you. And stay in the same house, eating and drinking whatever with them. For the laborer is worthy of his wages. Do not move from house to house. And into whatever city you enter, and they receive you, eat whatever is placed before you, and heal the sick there. And say to them, 'The reign of Elohim has come near to you.' And into whatever city you enter, and they do not receive you, go out into the streets and say, 'Even the dust of your city, which clings to us, we wipe off against you.' But know this, that the reign of Elohim has come near to you. And I say to you that it shall be more bearable for Sodom on the day than for that city. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! For if the miracles which were done in you had been done in Sor or Sidon, they would have repented long ago, sitting in sackcloth and ashes. But it shall be more bearable for Sor and Sidon at the judgment than for you. And you, Capharnaum, who are exalted to the heaven, shall be brought down to Sheol. He who hears you hears me. He who rejects you rejects me. And he who rejects me rejects him who sent me." And the 70 returned with joy, saying, "Master, even the demons are subject to us in your name." And he said to them, "I saw Satan falling out of the heaven as lightning. See, I give you the authority to trample on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. None at all shall hurt you. But I do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice because your names have been written in the heavens." In that hour Yeshua exulted in the spirit and said, "I praise you, Father, Master of the heaven, and of the earth, that you have hidden these matters from clever and learned ones, and did reveal them to babes. Yes, Father, because thus it was well-pleasing in your sight. All has been delivered to me by my Father, and no one knows who the Son is except the Father, and who the Father is except the Son, and he to whom the Son wishes to reveal him." And turning to his taught ones, he said separately, "Blessed are the eyes that shall see what you see. For I say to you that many prophets and sovereigns have wished to see what you see and have not seen it, and to hear what you hear and have not heard it. And see, a certain one learned in the Torah stood up, trying him and saying, 'Teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting life?' And he said to him, 'What has been written in the Torah? How do you read it?' And he answering said, 'You shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself.' And he said to him, 'You have answered rightly. Do this, and you shall live.' But he, wishing to declare He, wishing to declare himself righteous, said to Yeshua, "And who is my neighbor?" And replying, Yeshua said, "A certain man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among robbers, who both stripped and beat him, went away, leaving him half dead. And by a coincidence, a certain priest was going down that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite also, when he came to the place, and seeing, passed on the other side. But a certain Shomeroni, journeying, came upon him, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and he went to him, and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and having placed him on his own beast, he brought him to an inn, and looked after him. And going out on the next day, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, "Look after him, and whatever more you spend I shall repay when I return." Who then of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him, who fell among the robbers? And he said, "He who showed compassion on him." Then Yeshua said to him, "Go and do likewise." And it came to be as they went, that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Miriam, who also sat at the feet of Yeshua and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and coming up, she said, "Master, are you not concerned that my sister has left me to serve alone? Speak to her then, to help me." And Yeshua answering said to her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many matters, but one only is necessary, and Miriam has chosen the good portion, which shall not be taken away from her." Shalom.